Well, we started with Genesis in the beginning. By the way, that's the same way John started his gospel, in the beginning. In the beginning is a good place to start. I think I've told you before that when I gave my life to preach the gospel 68 years ago. Wow. I had an atheist uncle who asked me, Jackie Ray's my name, something like Billy Ray, you know. My uncle Woodrow said, what was before the beginning? I think I gave him as profound an answer as a 14-year-old could. I told him, if it was our business to know what happened before the beginning, the Bible would have said before the beginning. So as far as you and I are concerned, there's no need to worry about what was before the beginning. Now, since then, I've thought of better answers, but that was basic. In the beginning. Folks, there was a beginning. And at that beginning was God. At that beginning, there was a creating God. In the beginning, God. In the beginning, God created. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, if you and I intend to be informed and live with facts, we must find out something about the beginning. Now, science hasn't found the beginning. And it's difficult to find the end if you have no beginning. It's tough to start at nowhere and end at nowhere and expect to understand the journey. The only source of information, revelation if you please, is this book. In this book, the whole of creation, before creation, and all of time, everything, light, life, matter, gravity, everything else is right here in the beginning, bound up in a person whose name means the one above whom there is no other. So in the beginning, God. And we trace his speaking. He begins to talk. He said, over a formless void. Don't know why it was created like that. There are some who believe that it was created and there was a fall of some kind. Not our concern. But this is how he began to create. God said, let there be light. And there was light. And that light was good. And he separated the darkness and the light and called the light day and the darkness night. So there's an explanation. Why the sun rises, why the sun sets. What about time? What about the earth? Then God said, let there be a separation of the waters. And that was done, and one was called the sea and one was called the land. On through Genesis 1, the beginning of his rule, his kingdom, light comes. He planted vegetation, grass and plants and trees, and all sorts of things were created as seed and began to grow. Unimaginable is the result of this. A garden. Earth as it was intended to be. Now, in verse 26, this is where you come in. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let's give him dominion over the earth. That's you. You have the beginning, a place. You have God's rule passed on to man, a purpose. Listen to that purpose. He tipped his hand. He let us know why he was creating. Let us make man. By the way, we feel that that plural pronoun is among the first evidences of the triune God, Elohim itself. Here's the first verse of Scripture. Haaretz, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Elohim is the name for God, the only plural, the only plural name he has. Elohim, as if the triune God takes part in creation. Now he says we make man, and this is the purpose of man, to be in the image of God. That is, God planned for man to be the evidence of God's presence. If you please, you were made to be an extension of the presence of God. He wanted a family, just as a father finds in his son an extension of himself. So God created us to be extensions of his presence. Then the statement, after our likeness. After our likeness. That has to do with favor and all that goes with it. God says, I want you to look like me. I want you to favor me. I want your being, inward and outward, to be an expression of my person. Look into that one. So we have two so far. God said, let us make man in our image, an extension of the divine presence. Two, after our likeness, an expression of the divine person. Now here's the last one. And let's give them dominion over, and then names everything. So here are the three things. We are to be in the kingdom, under the rule of God, an extension of his presence, an expression of his person, and an exhibit of his power. I will give you my authority to rule over the earth. You can think about that. It'll take a real commitment and some knowledge of the kingdom before you can enjoy being what you were made to be. I'll tell you one truth to close this time. The one thing that has impressed me at this moment more than anything in the last months is that God made me, and thus you, and all of us, to be a part of his family, a part of his plan, and put within us the parts of the construction of a life being all it was meant to be. That's you. The one excitement that has possessed me the last days. I can be what I was made to be. A dream of every one of us. God bless as you think about that.